In a small, crowded neighborhood in Mumbai, where life moved fast and dreams often felt out of reach, there lived a man named Rajiv. He was not rich or famous, just an ordinary person trying to survive each day. But what made Rajiv different from many others was his determination. No matter how hard life became, he refused to give up. His strength came from one thing: love. Love for his wife, Meera, who had been battling illness for over 2 years. Meera was once full of energy, always smiling and lighting up every room she entered. She used to help Rajiv run their tiny grocery shop, which they owned together before her health began to fail. Back then, life wasn't easy, but it was happy. They didn't have much, yet they shared laughter, hope, and countless dreams about the future. However, everything changed when Meera fell sick. Her condition worsened quickly, leaving doctors puzzled and treatments expensive. Soon, the little money they saved disappeared like sand slipping through fingers. Their grocery shop had to be sold to pay for her medical bills, and Rajiv found himself facing a harsh reality alone. Desperate to keep his family afloat, Rajiv started working odd jobs around the city. At first, he tried selling vegetables by the roadside, waking up at dawn to buy fresh produce and spending hours under the scorching sun. But the income was too low to cover even basic expenses. Then, he worked as a helper at construction sites, carrying heavy bricks and mixing cement, until his hands bled. Though the work paid better, it left him exhausted and unable to care for Meera properly. After months of struggle, Rajiv finally settled on polishing shoes, a job he could do near the bustling train station without being too far from home. Every morning, Rajiv would wake up early, pack his small wooden box filled with brushes, polish, and rags, and set off to his spot outside the train station. The area was chaotic, with people rushing to catch trains, vendors shouting to sell snacks, and honking cars filling the air with noise. Amidst all this chaos, Rajiv sat quietly on a stool waiting for customers. He wore old clothes patched together from scraps, but his face carried dignity. Despite the hardships, he never complained. Instead, he focused on doing his best, knowing that every rupee earned brought him closer to saving Meera. The days were long and tiring. Some people ignored him completely, walking past without so much as a glance. Others tossed coins into his box without stopping to let him polish their shoes. Still, Rajiv remained patient. He understood that everyone had their own struggles, just like him. Whenever someone did stop to get their shoes polished, he worked with care and precision, making sure they looked shiny and perfect. "Thank you, sir," he would say politely after finishing, bowing slightly as a sign of respect. Despite his efforts, earning enough money was a constant challenge. Most days he barely managed to bring home enough to buy food and medicine. On some nights, when the earnings were particularly low, Rajiv skipped meals so that Meera could eat. Yet no matter how difficult things got, he never showed his pain to her. Every evening after returning from work, he would prepare dinner and sit beside her bed, holding her hand and telling her stories to lift her spirits. Sometimes they talked about the past, their happier days, and other times they dreamed about the future, imagining a time when Meera would recover fully. One evening, as Rajiv returned home later than usual, he noticed something unusual. Meera seemed weaker than before, her breathing shallow and uneven. Panic gripped his heart as he rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice trembling. She gave him a faint smile and whispered, "Don't worry, I'm fine." But Rajiv knew better. He realized that her medication needed to be adjusted, and that meant visiting the doctor again, an expense he couldn't afford right away. That night, as Meera slept peacefully beside him, Rajiv lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he silently prayed for a miracle. He promised himself that no matter what happened, he would find a way to save her. The next morning, Rajiv woke up earlier than usual. Determined to earn more money, he decided to move his shoe polishing stand closer to the entrance of the train station, where foot traffic was heavier. As he set up his stool and box, he noticed a group of businessmen chatting nearby. One of them glanced at him briefly, then turned away. Rajiv sighed inwardly, expecting another uneventful day. But little did he know, fate had something extraordinary in store for him. Later that afternoon, a tall man wearing a dark coat approached him. Unlike most of Rajiv's customers, this man looked well-dressed and confident. He sat down on the stool and handed Rajiv his shoes, saying, "Make them shine." Rajiv nodded and began working silently, focusing on making the shoes gleam. As he polished, he couldn't help but notice the man observing him closely. When the task was complete, the stranger handed Rajiv a generous tip, a 100-rupee note, far more than what anyone else had ever given him. Before leaving, the man leaned closer and whispered, "Tomorrow evening, come to this address." He scribbled something on a piece of paper and walked away without another word. Rajiv stared at the note, his heart racing with curiosity and fear. Who was this man, and why had he chosen him? For the rest of the day, Rajiv couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious stranger and the possibility of change. That night, as he held Mira's hand and watched her sleep, Rajiv allowed himself to dream for the first time in months. Maybe, just maybe, this stranger held the key to turning their lives around. With renewed hope glowing inside him, Rajiv vowed to follow the lead, no matter where it took him. The next day, Rajiv woke up earlier than usual. His mind was restless, replaying the events of the previous evening over and over again. The mysterious man in the dark coat, the generous tip, and the cryptic note with an address. It all felt like a dream. Yet the piece of paper tucked safely in his pocket reminded him it was real. As he prepared to leave for work, he glanced at Mira, who lay asleep on their worn-out mattress. Her pale face and fragile frame broke his heart, but her steady breathing reassured him that she was still fighting. For her sake, he decided to go to the address written on the note. After setting up his shoe polishing stand near the train station, Rajiv waited anxiously for the day to pass. Customers came and went, but his thoughts remained fixed on the stranger's words. By late afternoon, he packed up his things and headed toward the address. It was located in a part of the city he rarely visited, a quiet upscale neighborhood with wide streets and towering buildings. The contrast between this place and his own cramped, noisy area was striking. Rajiv felt out of place as he walked past gleaming cars and well-dressed people. He clutched the note tightly, wondering if he had made a mistake by coming here. Finally, he arrived at the building mentioned in the note. It was sleek and modern with glass doors and a polished marble entrance. Hesitating for a moment, Rajiv stepped inside. The lobby was spacious and brightly lit, with comfortable seating areas, and potted plants adding to its elegance. Behind a large desk sat a receptionist typing away on a computer. When Rajiv approached her, she looked up with a polite smile. "Can I help you?" she asked. I'm looking for someone," Rajiv stammered, feeling nervous. "A man gave me this address yesterday." Before the receptionist could respond, a familiar voice called out from behind. "Ah, Rajiv, you're here." Rajiv turned around to see the same tall man in the dark coat standing nearby. He looked even more impressive up close, his posture confident, his eyes sharp yet kind. "Come with me," the man said, gesturing toward an elevator. As they rode up to the top floor, Rajiv couldn't shake off his unease. Who was this man? Why had he summoned him here? The questions swirled in his mind, but he didn't dare ask them aloud. Instead, he followed silently, taking in the luxurious surroundings. The office they entered was equally grand, with panoramic windows offering a breathtaking view of the city skyline. A large wooden desk stood in the center, surrounded by shelves lined with books and awards. "Please sit down," the man said, pointing to a chair. Rajiv obeyed, perching awkwardly on the edge of the seat. The man took a seat across from him and studied him for a moment before speaking. "My name is Mr. Kapoor," he began. "I've been watching you for some time now." You've been watching me?" Rajiv repeated, confused. "Yes," Mr. Kapoor replied calmly. "Every day I pass by your shoe polishing stand on my way to work. I've noticed how hard you work, how honest you are, and how much you care for your wife. That's rare these days." Rajiv shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He wasn't used to being praised or observed so closely. "But why are you telling me this?" he asked. Cautiously, Mr. Kapoor leaned forward, his expression serious. "Because I believe you're capable of more. Much more." "What do you mean?" Rajiv asked, his curiosity growing. Mr. Kapoor explained that he owned a successful import-export business, dealing with goods from all over the world. Recently, one of his key employees had quit unexpectedly, leaving a gap in his operations. He needed someone trustworthy to fill the role temporarily, handling deliveries and managing inventory. "I want you to take the job," Mr. Kapoor said firmly. Rajiv stared at him, stunned. "Me? But I don't know anything about running a business. I'm just a shoe polisher." "That doesn't matter," Mr. Kapoor replied. "You won't need any special skills for this job. All you need is dedication, honesty, and a willingness to learn, and I can see you have those qualities in abundance." For a moment, Rajiv was speechless. This offer seemed too good to be true. Could it really change his life? Or was it too risky to trust a stranger? Seeing his hesitation, Mr. Kapoor added, "Think about your wife, Rajiv. With this job, you'll earn enough to cover her medical expenses and give her the care she deserves. Isn't that what you've been working so hard for?" Those words struck a chord deep within Rajiv. Everything he did, the long hours, the sacrifices, the endless struggles, was for Mira. If this opportunity could help her, he couldn't turn it down. Taking a deep breath, he nodded slowly. "All right. Sir, I'll do it." Mr. Kapoor smiled, clearly pleased with his decision. "Good, I'll arrange everything tomorrow. In the meantime, try not to worry, you're going to be fine." On the way home, Rajiv's mind raced with excitement and apprehension. What would this new job entail? Would he be able to handle it? And most importantly, would it truly make a difference for Mira? These questions lingered in his thoughts as he reached his neighborhood. When he entered their small home, Mira greeted him with a weak smile. "You're back late today," she said softly. "Yes. I had to take care of something important," Rajiv replied, trying to sound casual. He didn't want to raise her hopes until he was sure the job would work out. That night, as Mira slept, Rajiv sat by the window, staring at the stars. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to imagine a brighter future. Perhaps this stranger's kindness was the turning point they desperately needed. Perhaps, just perhaps, things were finally about to get better. The next morning, Rajiv woke up with a strange mix of excitement and anxiety swirling in his chest. He had agreed to take the job offered by Mr. Kapoor, but doubts lingered in his mind. Could he really handle such a big responsibility? What if he failed and let everyone down, especially Mira? Despite these fears, he reminded himself why he was doing this. For years, he had worked tirelessly to keep his wife alive and happy. This opportunity could be the answer to all their prayers. With that thought fueling him, Rajiv got ready for his first day at the new job. When he arrived at Mr. Kapoor's office, he was greeted warmly by both the receptionist and Mr. Kapoor himself. "Good morning, Rajiv," Mr. Kapoor said, shaking his hand firmly. "Are you ready to get started?" "Yes, sir," Rajiv replied, trying to sound confident. Mr. Kapoor led him through the building, explaining how the business operated. The company imported goods like electronics, clothing, and household items from different countries and distributed them to retailers across India. Rajiv's role would involve organizing shipments, ensuring deliveries were made on time, and keeping track of inventory. It sounded complicated, but Mr. Kapoor assured him that it wasn't as difficult as it seemed. "For now, I'll guide you step by step," Mr. Kapoor said. "You don't need to worry about making mistakes. Just focus on learning." Rajiv nodded gratefully. Over the next few days, he immersed himself in the work. At first, everything felt overwhelming. There were forms to fill out, schedules to manage, and calls to make. But Mr. Kapoor was patient, always available to answer questions and offer advice. Slowly but surely, Rajiv began to understand the processes. He learned how to communicate with suppliers, coordinate with delivery teams, and update records accurately. What surprised Rajiv most was how much he enjoyed the work. Unlike polishing shoes, where he spent hours sitting alone on the street, This job allowed him to interact with people and solve problems. Each small success, like completing a shipment on time or resolving an issue with a supplier, filled him with pride. For the first time in years, he felt respected and valued. Meanwhile, the financial relief was immediate and profound. The salary Mr. Kapoor paid him was far higher than what he earned polishing shoes. Within weeks, Rajiv was able to clear some of Mira's outstanding medical bills and even buy her better quality medicine. Her health showed signs of improvement, which brought immense joy to both of them. One evening, after returning home, Rajiv found Mira sitting up in bed, sipping tea. She looked healthier than she had in months. "How was your day?" she asked, smiling faint ever so slightly. "It was good," Rajiv replied, unable to hide his happiness. "I think we're finally turning a corner, Mira. Things are getting better." Mira reached out and held his hand. "I knew you could do it, Rajiv. You've always been my hero." Her words touched him deeply, bringing tears to his eyes. For so long he had carried the weight of their struggles alone. Now, seeing hope return to Mira's face made every sacrifice worth it. As the weeks turned into months, Rajiv grew more confident in his role. He started taking initiative, suggesting improvements to streamline operations. For example, he noticed that certain shipments often arrived late because of poor communication with suppliers. After discussing it with Mr. Kapoor, he proposed setting up weekly check-ins to ensure everyone stayed on the same page. To his delight, the idea worked, reducing delays significantly. Impressed by Rajiv's dedication and creativity, Mr. Kapoor began entrusting him with bigger responsibilities. He taught Rajiv how to analyze sales data, negotiate contracts, and manage budgets. Though these tasks required skills Rajiv had never used before, he tackled them with determination. Whenever he encountered something unfamiliar, he asked questions or studied during his free time. His hard work didn't go unnoticed. "You're doing an excellent job, Rajiv," Mr. Kapoor told him one afternoon. "I haven't seen anyone adapt so quickly." "Thank you, sir," Rajiv said humbly. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Mr. Kapoor smiled. "That's true, but remember, talent only takes you so far. It's your character, your honesty and perseverance that sets you apart. Those qualities can't be taught." Rajiv took those words to heart. He realized that no matter where life took him, staying true to himself would always be his greatest strength. Despite his growing responsibilities, Rajiv never forgot his roots. Every evening after finishing work, he returned home to spend time with Mira. They talked about their dreams for the future, imagining a life free from financial worries. Sometimes they laughed together, reminiscing about their early days, when they ran the grocery shop. Other times they simply sat in silence, enjoying each other's company. However, there was still one mystery Rajiv couldn't solve. Why had Mr. Kapoor chosen him? One evening, while having dinner with Mira, he voiced his question aloud. "Do you think Mr. Kapoor sees something special in me?" he asked. Mira thought for a moment before replying. "Maybe he sees the same thing I see, the man who works tirelessly to protect the ones he loves. That's not something everyone has, Rajiv." Her words stayed with him, but the curiosity remained. Finally, one day he decided to ask Mr. Kapoor directly. After wrapping up a particularly busy week, Rajiv approached his boss cautiously. "Sir, may I ask you something?" he began. "Of course," Mr. Kapoor replied, looking up from his desk. "Why did you choose me for this job?" "I'm just a shoe polisher. Surely there were others more qualified." Mr. Kapoor chuckled softly. "You're right, Rajiv. There were others with more experience, but none of them had your heart. When I watched you polish shoes day after day, I saw someone who refused to give up no matter how tough things got. Someone willing to endure hardship for the sake of his family. That kind of resilience is rare and invaluable." He paused, then added, "Besides, I've been in your shoes before. Many years ago, I was struggling too, working odd jobs to support my family. A stranger helped me back then, giving me a chance I didn't deserve. Now, I'm simply passing that kindness forward." Rajiv listened intently, his eyes filled with gratitude. He hadn't expected such a heartfelt explanation. "Thank you, sir," he said quietly. I won't let you down. You already haven't, Mr. Kapoor replied with a smile. From that moment on, Rajiv felt a deeper connection to his work. It wasn't just a job anymore. It was a mission. He vowed to honor Mr. Kapoor's trust by continuing to give his best effort every single day. As months turned into years, Rajiv's life transformed in ways he could never have imagined. What started as a temporary job became the foundation of a new chapter, one filled with growth, challenges, and triumphs. Under Mr. Kapoor's mentorship, Rajiv didn't just learn how to manage a business, he discovered strengths within himself that he hadn't known existed. Slowly but surely, he climbed higher in the company, earning respect from colleagues and clients alike. Yet through it all, his focus remained unchanged, providing for Mira and building a better future for their family. Learning and leading. At first, Rajiv was hesitant to take on leadership roles. He often doubted whether someone like him, a former shoe polisher with no formal education, could lead others effectively. But Mr. Kapoor saw potential in him and encouraged him to step out of his comfort zone. Leadership isn't about titles or degrees, Mr. Kapoor once told him. It's about inspiring people and solving problems. You've been doing that since the day I met you. With those words echoing in his mind, Rajiv began taking charge of smaller teams within the company. At first, he struggled to assert himself. His natural humility made it hard for him to give orders or make tough decisions. However, over time, he realized that being a leader wasn't about bossing people around. It was about guiding them, supporting them, and helping them succeed. One of his earliest tests came when a major shipment was delayed due to a strike at the port. Dozens of retailers were waiting for the goods and tensions ran high. Rajiv knew he had to act quickly. Instead of panicking, he called an emergency meeting with his team. Together, they brainstormed solutions, reaching out to alternative suppliers, and rerouting shipments through different ports. It was a chaotic process, but Rajiv stayed calm and focused, motivating his team to keep pushing forward. When the crisis was finally resolved, the entire team celebrated. One of his colleagues patted him on the back and said, "Rajiv, you handled that like a pro. We're lucky to have you leading us." For Rajiv, that moment was a turning point. It proved to him that he could rise to any challenge if he put his mind to it. From then on, his confidence grew, and so did his responsibilities. He was promoted to manager, overseeing multiple departments and playing a key role in shaping the company's future. Mira's recovery. While Rajiv thrived at work, Mira's health continued to improve thanks to the steady income and access to better medical care. Her recovery was slow but steady, and each milestone brought immense joy to both of them. One day, after a routine checkup, her doctor gave them wonderful news. Mira is responding well to treatment. With proper care, she should be able to live a normal life again. Tears streamed down Rajiv's face as he hugged Mira tightly. Outside the hospital, for years they had dreamed of this moment, the day when her illness would no longer define their lives. Now, it was finally happening. Over the following months, Mira regained her strength. She started helping Rajiv with household chores and even joined him in volunteering at local community centers. Watching her smile and laugh freely filled Rajiv with gratitude. Every evening, as they sat together under the stars, he thanked God for giving them another chance at happiness. Despite their newfound stability, Rajiv never forgot where they came from. He often reminded Mira of the struggles they endured, not to dwell on the past, but to appreciate how far they had come. "We've been through hell and back," he would say, "but look at us now. If we can survive that, we can handle anything." Paying it forward. Rajiv rose through the ranks. He became increasingly aware of the privileges he now enjoyed. Unlike many others in his old neighborhood, he had access to resources, opportunities, and connections that could change lives. Determined to give back, he decided to use his position to help those less fortunate. His first initiative was setting up a small fund to support families struggling with medical expenses. Inspired by his own experiences, he reached out to local hospitals and clinics, offering financial assistance to patients who couldn't afford treatment. Word spread quickly, and soon, dozens of families benefited from his generosity. But Rajiv didn't stop there. He also launched a training program for unemployed youth, teaching them skills like communication, problem-solving, and basic finance. Many of these young men and women came from backgrounds similar to his own, poor, uneducated, and desperate for a way out. Through the program, they gained not only practical skills but also hope for a brighter future. One participant, a teenager named Arjun, stood out to Rajiv. Arjun reminded him of himself, young, determined, and willing to work hard despite overwhelming odds. After completing the program, Arjun secured a job at a nearby warehouse, allowing him to support his younger siblings and sick mother. When Arjun came to thank Rajiv, tears welled up in both their eyes. "You saved my family, sir," Arjun said, bowing deeply. "No, Arjun," Rajiv replied gently. "You saved yourself. All I did was show you the path. Keep walking it, and don't ever give up." Bayan. A new chapter. By the 5th year of working with Mr. Kapoor, Rajiv had become indispensable to the company. His innovative ideas, strong work ethic, and compassionate leadership inspired everyone around him. Recognizing his contributions, Mr. Kapoor offered him a partnership in the business. "Rajiv, you've earned this," Mr. Kapoor said during their meeting. "You've built this company alongside me, and it's only fair that you share in its success." Rajiv was overwhelmed. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined owning part of a successful enterprise. But as he accepted the offer, he felt a deep sense of responsibility. This wasn't just about achieving personal success, it was about creating opportunities for others. With his newfound wealth, Rajiv expanded his charitable efforts. He established a foundation dedicated to improving healthcare and education for underprivileged communities. Schools were built, scholarships were awarded, and free medical camps were organized regularly. Thousands of lives were touched by his initiatives, and Rajiv found immense fulfillment in knowing that he was making a difference. Yet amidst all his achievements, Rajiv remained grounded. He still lived modestly, refusing to indulge in luxury or extravagance. "I haven't forgotten where I came from," he often said, "and I never will." Asun. Reflections on life one evening. As Rajiv sat on the balcony of his modest apartment, watching the sun set over the city, he reflected on his journey. From polishing shoes on the streets to becoming a respected businessman and philanthropist, his life had taken unexpected turns. But through it all, one thing remained constant: his love for Mira and his unwavering belief in the power of perseverance. "I'm proud of you," Mira said softly, joining him on the balcony. "Look at everything you've accomplished." "It's not just me," Rajiv replied, holding her hand. "It's us. Everything I've done for you. You're my reason, Mira." She smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. Together they watched the sky turn shades of orange and pink, grateful for the second chance life had given them. Though Rajiv's story was far from over, he knew one thing for certain. No matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them with courage and kindness. After all, it was those qualities that had brought him this far, and they would continue to guide him in the years to come. Years passed, and Rajiv's life continued to evolve in remarkable ways. His partnership with Mr. Kapoor turned the company into one of the most successful businesses in the region. Together they expanded operations, ventured into new markets, and introduced innovative products that improved people's lives. But for Rajiv, success wasn't measured by profits or accolades. It was reflected in the smiles of those he helped along the way. As his influence grew, so did his commitment to giving back. The foundation he had established became a beacon of hope for countless families struggling against poverty, illness, and despair. Schools were built in remote villages, medical clinics provided free treatment to the needy, and skill development programs empowered unemployed youth to build better futures. Yet despite his many achievements, Rajiv never forgot the lessons he learned during his darkest days. Humility, perseverance, and kindness remained the guiding principles of his life. Passing the torch one crisp winter morning, Rajiv received an unexpected visit from Mr. Kapoor. Now in his late 60s, Mr. Kapoor looked older but still carried the same quiet strength that had inspired Rajiv years ago. Over cups of steaming chai, Mr. Kapoor shared some surprising news. "Rajiv," he began, "I've decided it's time for me to step back. I want you to take over as CEO of the company." Rajiv nearly dropped his cup. "Sir, are you sure? This is your life's work. How can I possibly—" Mr. Kapoor raised a hand to interrupt him. "You already have taken over, Rajiv. You've been running things brilliantly for years now. It's only right that you officially lead the company forward. Besides," he added with a smile, "it's time for me to focus on my grandchildren and enjoy what little time I have left." For a moment, Rajiv sat speechless. Taking over the company felt like stepping into uncharted territory. He knew the responsibilities would be immense, but he also understood that this was another opportunity to make a difference, not just for himself, but for everyone who depended on the company. "I won't let you down, sir," Rajiv said finally, his voice steady. "I know you won't," Mr. Kapoor replied. "You've already proven yourself more times than I can count. Trust me, Rajiv, you're ready." With Mr. Kapoor's blessing, Rajiv officially became the CEO. On his first day in the role, he gathered all employees for a meeting. Standing at the front of the room, he addressed them with sincerity. "This company isn't mine, it belongs to all of us," he said. "Together we've achieved incredible things, and together we'll continue to grow. But remember, our success means nothing unless we use it to help others. That's why I'm pledging 10% of our annual profits to charity. Let's not just be a business, let's be a force for good." The announcement was met with applause, and Rajiv felt a surge of pride. He had come a long way from the man polishing shoes outside the train station, yet he remained true to his roots. A familiar face. A few months later, while visiting one of the foundation's community centers, Rajiv encountered a boy who reminded him of his younger self. The boy, no older than 12, was shining shoes under the scorching sun, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. Something about the sight tugged at Rajiv's heartstrings. Approaching the boy, Rajiv crouched down and asked gently, "What's your name?" "Amit," the boy replied shyly, avoiding eye contact. "And how old are you, Amit?" 12, sir." Rajiv nodded slowly. "Do you go to school?" "No, sir," Amit admitted. "I need to earn money for my family." Hearing those words transported Rajiv back to his own childhood, a time when survival came before education, when dreams seemed impossible to achieve. Determined to change Amit's fate, Rajiv extended a hand. "Come with me," he said. "Let's talk." At first, Amit hesitated, unsure whether to trust this stranger, but something in Rajiv's kind eyes reassured him, and he followed him to the nearby community center. There, Rajiv introduced Amit to the staff, explaining his situation. Within days, arrangements were made for Amit to attend school, while receiving financial support for his family. Over the next few weeks, Rajiv checked in on Amit regularly, encouraging him to stay focused on his studies. "Education is your ticket to a better life," Rajiv told him. "Never give up no matter how hard things get." Watching Amit thrive brought Rajiv immense joy. It reminded him of the cycle of kindness that had changed his own life, from Mr. Kapoor helping him to him now helping Amit. He realized that true success wasn't about accumulating wealth or power. It was about creating opportunities for others to rise above their circumstances. Honoring the past on a quiet Sunday afternoon, Rajiv visited the street where he once polished shoes. So much had changed since then. The bustling crowd, the towering buildings, the sense of progress. But one thing remained constant: the struggle of ordinary people trying to survive. As he stood there, memories flooded back. The long hours, the aching feet, the desperation in his heart. He noticed a young man sitting on a stool nearby, polishing shoes just as he used to do. Curious, Rajiv approached him and struck up a conversation. The young man, named Rahul, shared his story. Like Rajiv, he worked tirelessly to support his sick mother and younger siblings. Hearing Rahul's words filled Rajiv with both empathy and determination. "You don't have to do this forever," Rajiv told him. "There's another way. Come see me tomorrow at my office and we'll figure something out." The next day, Rahul arrived nervously at Rajiv's office. To his surprise, Rajiv offered him a job at the company, starting in the delivery department. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Rahul accepted without hesitation. This encounter reinforced Rajiv's belief in the importance of paying it forward. He often thought about Mr. Kapoor's words, "Kindness has a ripple effect." By helping Rahul, Rajiv hoped to inspire him to help someone else someday, and so on, creating a chain reaction of compassion and opportunity. A life well lived. Rajiv grew older. He spent more time mentoring young entrepreneurs and sharing his story with audiences across the country. People marveled at how far he had come, from a humble shoe polisher to a respected CEO and philanthropist. But Rajiv always emphasized that his journey wasn't unique. "There's nothing special about me," he would say during speeches. "I'm just a man who refused to give up. If I can overcome my struggles, so can you. All it takes is faith, hard work, and a willingness to help others." His message resonated deeply with listeners, inspiring countless individuals to pursue their dreams despite adversity. Through his foundation and public speaking engagements, Rajiv touched millions of lives, leaving behind a legacy of hope and resilience. The final chapter. Decades later, Rajiv and Meera sat together on the porch of their modest home, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Their hair had turned gray, and their bodies bore the marks of age, but their spirits remained youthful. "We've had a good life, haven't we?" Meera asked, resting her head on his shoulder. "Yes, we have," Rajiv replied, holding her hand tightly. "And it's all because of you. Without your love and strength, I wouldn't be here today." Meera smiled softly. "No, Rajiv. It's because of you. You gave us a second chance and you made sure we didn't waste it." In that moment, surrounded by peace and contentment, Rajiv reflected on his journey. From the darkest days of struggle to the heights of success, every step had been worth it. He had saved Meera, built a thriving business, transformed countless lives, and created a legacy that would endure long after he was gone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Rajiv whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. Life had tested him relentlessly, but it had also rewarded him abundantly. And through it all, he had remained true to himself, to his values, his dreams, and his unwavering belief in the goodness of humanity. When Rajiv passed away peacefully in his sleep years later, the entire city mourned his loss, yet even in death his spirit lived on. His foundation continued its mission, his company thrived under compassionate leadership, and his story inspired generations to come. Rajiv's life proved that no matter how difficult the road may seem, perseverance and kindness can light the way. For those fortunate enough to cross paths with him, he was more than a hero. He was a reminder that even the smallest acts of courage and compassion can change the world.